Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Talkin Kop. I'm Gav. This is Kev. It's Monday night, and we're going to look at Liverpool's next five league games in the Premier League. We're going to look at Arsenal's next four, and we're going to look at Man City's next four. People may ask what's going on with Nottingham Forest. Look, Forest are in a brilliant position at the moment, but I think they're being, Arsenal pull away, and I think City will catch them. But everyone seems to be speaking about what sort of form City are on, what way are Arsenal handling things, what Liverpool need to do. So we're going to look at that over the next hour or so and get us up to the end of February. Now we're going to cover the Premier League games. Liverpool have five, Arsenal have four, Man City also have four, and there's some League Cup games in there. There's some European Cup games in there. There's some European Cup playoffs. There's FA Cups. There's loads going on. But by the end of it, me and Kev are going to try to predict how many points Liverpool, City and Arsenal will have at the end of February, which would leave us all on 27 games played with 11 to go. If you're in the chat, hit like. Subscribe if you haven't already. Comment afterwards if you'd like. Become a member if you'd like. $3.99 a month. We have got a little thing running tonight that if we get 10 super chats of $5 or more, I think it is, we're just going to take all that money and put it back in and give out 10 monthly memberships at random for people to use for the month. So that's the way we're going to do it. So if you want to donate a membership by putting $5 or whatever it is in there, it'll all be going back in for people to get members. All right, Kev, how are you?
Not bad.
I'm going to ask you this question. I'm going to ask it to you. I asked her in the members Telegram group earlier. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being not confident at all, to 10 being it's over, lad. How confident are you for Liverpool in this title race?
I was at 10 back in December.
So he's still
And
at 10?
yeah, yeah, I've seen nothing in anyone else to suggest that they're capable of making up the ground. And I haven't seen us slowing down.
Okay.
Normally you get to. It was funny enough. I read something yesterday, and it had a side by side of where Liverpool were last year and this year.
Yeah.
Games played, points, goals conceded, everything. And they're very much similar. We're very similar to where we were this time last year, but everyone else has really dropped off, and we've maintained the level. And I think the tactics and the way Arne Slot has us playing this time round, there's a lot more composure, a lot more assuredness on the ball, and we seem to be resting on the ball an awful lot more. We're managing and conserving ourselves in certain portions of games, and I think last year is going to stand to a lot of players really well. I know that people are going to say, you got to March and April and we ran out of gas and what have you. Yeah, we did. But when we did, they were right on our backsides. And I just don't see Man City, Arsenal, Chelsea, Newcastle, Forest having the staying power to stay with us. And to be honest, I'm looking at the table there: 16 wins, 5 draws, 1 loss, goal difference of plus 33. You got to look at it. Even last season, we were giving up really good chances in games. And another year we get punished severely. This season, we're just not. We're not giving up anywhere near as many chances as we have done in recent years. And the quality of the chances that we're giving up aren't as good. Sides are rushing. And yeah, I'm really, really confident. Really confident.
Okay. Um, let's start with Man City. So the way we're going to do this is I'm going to read you out the games Man City have, because there's a range of competitions that they're in. And what we'll do is we'll just chat through each game they have, and then we'll chat through Arsenal, then we'll chat through Liverpool, and at the end we'll give our points totals. We give our points totals at the very end to see where we sit. Man City, won a couple of games, drew away at Brentford. They beat Chelsea at the weekend. They go into a game now against Bruges where a win would guarantee them the playoff spots in the Champions League. That's where I'm going to start. They play this game against Bruges. Bruges need a point to qualify.
Yeah.
City need to win. And if they get through that, then they face Arsenal away. They go away to Leyton Orient in the Cup. They will then have the first leg of the playoff. And before the second leg of that, they play Newcastle at home. Then they play Liverpool at home. And then they go away to Spurs. All right. Just on the Champions League thing, you expect them to beat Bruges during the week?
Yeah, I expect them to do enough. Look, Bruges aren't all that. It would be different if they were going to play maybe a Borussia Dortmund or Benfica or something like that, and sides that could threaten you on the other side of it. I don't think Bruges have that capability. They should be fine there. It's just that the way the Champions League format this season, the way the league table is, it's all topsy turvy. The seedings are going out the window because of the way the positions that the bigger clubs are going to land themselves in. You got to get you could get some really tasty playoff draws, and we'll know by 11 o'clock Wednesday night who's got what and who's playing who when. So it'll be interesting to
Does it
see
be
that.
done? Does it be done that quick?
Oh no, there is no draw. It's just wherever you finish in the league table, the draw's already made for you.
Right.
It's
Okay.
the highest finishing side in the league format
But we
will
can get
be
so just
at
quickly
home
on
in the
that,
second leg.
we can
Yeah,
get place 15, 16, 17, or 18.
yeah.
So it's like
It's wherever those sides finish. It's from 9 to 24
yeah.
going to the playoffs, and it's all dependent on where they finish in the league table. That's their seeding,
Okay.
and it just so happens that when they tried to seed the last 16 draw 1 to 16.
Because I noticed ourselves and Barcelona at the moment would have either team 15, 16, 17, or 18, right?
Yeah,
So if 15 and 16 win,
yeah. We'd have the side who finished lowest.
16th,
If
we'd have 16th.
assuming we finish top,
Yeah.
we'd have the side that finished 16th.
And
The side
Barca will
who
get the
finished
team that finished
second
15th.
would have
Yeah.
15th. And in
Okay.
theory, it would have been third would get the next one, fourth would get the next one. But the way the table is, you're going to have sides finishing 20th in the league format playing against sides who finished maybe 12th and going through because they're bigger clubs with better players
Yeah.
and they come alive in the second half of the season. So that'll be interesting in itself how that knocks out. But City could have a whopper of a playoff depending on who they get.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're expecting them to beat Bruges, right?
Yeah,
But to be, to be honest, it makes no difference because we know that they're going to be going into a playoff,
yeah,
and that kind of affects where they are. So they have to play that playoff. Like I said, they go away to late morning. They'll play the playoff. They'll play Newcastle home. They play another playoff. Then they play Liverpool. Liverpool won't be playing any games in that time, because we won't be involved in the playoffs,
yeah.
unless we're playing Everton. Um,
No,
and
our game with Everton is on the 12th of February.
oh yeah, the following week is when the playoffs start, aren't they? That's correct.
Yeah,
Um, so let's get into it. They go away to Arsenal
yeah,
this weekend coming. It's a huge game for both clubs. I think if City have any hope, even still have a hope of winning the title, or indeed making second place and saying to themselves, "Look, we've had a fucking nightmare of a season, but we finished second."
yeah,
It's one that City probably feel they'll have to win, because currently they are 6 points off Arsenal, same amount of games played. They go 9 behind Arsenal if they lost that, and I think that might be a bit too far of a stretch. Um, it's a really interesting one, isn't it? It feels like a definitive weekend in the season, and it'll be the 4th of February.
1st of February. Yeah, for Arsenal, it definitely is. For City to a point, because I think Pep's going to turn around to the dressing room. When the transfer window closes and he's got the squad that he's got until between now and the end of the season, he'll try to create a siege mentality within that dressing room, saying, right, you've got us into this mess. There's the target, Arsenal. They're 6 points ahead of us, same number of games played. We get to play them. We can chalk that down to 3. Then we can target them and catch them and see where you end up.
Mm-hmm.
The main focus, I think, for Man City this season is going to be the Champions League. It has to be the Champions League.
Yeah,
But if they can top off a season by doing really well in the Champions League and finish second on the strength of potentially losing 6 games, that then they'll have turned the corner with the squad that they've built for the second half of the season. A lot of players will kick on from that, and it'll be a farewell for some of them. I'd like Kevin De Bruyne will be going, and there'll be a turnaround within the squad. But for Arsenal, Arsenal have to see this as, right, we can put a nail in Man City's coffin for sure, in create a 9 point gap, and then start looking upwards. And they'll know that we'll look on at this game thinking, yeah, this is one that they could slip up and we could really open the gap and end it all together with Arsenal. But it's huge. Man City's fixtures for the 4 league games alone: Arsenal, Newcastle, Liverpool, Spurs. They're tough games in any season, especially in a season where you're not firing on all cylinders. It's riddled with minefields. That run of 4 fixtures at a time of the season where they're really going to want to put points on the board. They would ideally love to be playing 4 sides from 13th down to 16th. That would be their ideal. They could just rattle like they used to. 3 points, 3 points, 3 points, 3 points. Europe, okay, win the first leg, second leg you coast through, get through in the cup, and just be metronomic about it. This season they're anything but. They're going from one fire to another fire to another fire, and just trying to get through it with wins. It's we haven't seen this from Man City probably since Pep's first season. So the year we won the title, yeah, they fell away, but they were still a really good side. But I think Pep's first season, you go back and you're like, yeah, you can understand it, but when you're 7-8 years into your run and you've rebuilt a side once already, I don't think anyone really expected to fall off from Man City. Like, to go and lose 6 games out of 23, yeah, I don't think anyone really saw that. It's a tough run for them.
Yeah, you'll find out near the end of the show how many points we're given to each year. And I'm not going to ask you to give you, I think that'll be a draw, I think that'll be this. I wanted just a points total at the end. Right?
Yeah.
And people can make up their own mind where they think you're gone with that. All I want is a points total at the end. For me, the reason it's a really intriguing game is not only because Liverpool played Bournemouth the day before. For me, I've been kind of chatting to people and people are saying, how do Arsenal win that? How does City win it? City win it if they score first. I think, if City score first, not only what's going on the pitch, I think what goes on off the pitch in that stadium could be madness. Genuinely, they feel like they're so teetering on the brink. And I think if City score first, I think they'd be quite happy to make this a game where, let Arsenal have the ball, sit in.
Yeah.
And they have the players that can hurt you and be decisive. For Arsenal, I'd give City the ball. I genuinely would give City the ball. And listen, teams have had no choice over the years but to give City the fucking ball. But if you watch them this season, even look at Chelsea there today. Now, Chelsea are beaten 3-1. But when Chelsea actually sat in and went, you have the fucking ball. And what we'll do is we'll win it off you. And we look to get it wide quickly and we get up the pitch quickly and and there was space everywhere for Chelsea in that first 25 minutes of that game. Like, I could not get over the space. Like, I was like, where is this City midfield? And look, the new lad at centre half has a fucking appalling game. But a lot of it was down to why are Chelsea's midfielders running straight onto this guy? And I think Arsenal's way home in this might not to be, they mightn't want the ball. It might be a case of both teams saying to each other, you have the ball. It could be. But genuinely, if I was Arsenal, I'd be saying, listen, don't go mad deep. I wouldn't go mad deep because I don't think City will run in behind you, in a sense of lightning fast wingers. But I think if Arsenal look to contain and then use your Martinellis and use your Havertz's and your whoever else, Trossards, whoever else plays, Odegaard is so intelligent on the ball.
Yeah.
I think listen, you could go on that they don't have massive pace up front, but they have got good movement.
Yeah,
do you know what
they're
I mean?
quick enough. They're quick enough.
They absolutely are. And you don't need to be. You don't need to be rapid.
Before.
But you don't need to be rapid to open teams up. And I think the space is there. And if Odegaard find pockets, and especially Odegaard, and even Rice strong running, I think Arsenal will look to say, let them have it. Let them leave their own gaps for us to go into. Whereas I think if City go into this game, I think City could nearly kind of contradict what I'm saying here and catch Arsenal on the hop and go, well, we're going to stamp our authority on this, and we're going to keep the fucking ball loads. But I tell you what we're going to do. We're going to make sure we score first. If Arsenal score first, all I can see is an Arsenal win. If City score first, I think all I can see is a City win. To be fair, first goal is massive, but especially for City, in my opinion.
Yeah.
City then go away to Leyton Orient in the Cup. They play their first leg of their playoff, then they face Newcastle at home. And Newcastle, for me, are a team that are built to go and play away at Man City at the moment. No, that's not to say they're good enough defensively to hold out Man City. They've been really good defensively recently, Newcastle, bar that game at home to Bournemouth where they're just eating alive. By taking Bournemouth too lightly, in my opinion. It was all talk before that game of, 7 in a row, this and this, no goals, all this fucking stuff. But they are made with Anthony Gordon, with Isaac, with even your man Murphy. Tonali is clever. Joe Linton, Bruno Gomes. They have all these players that are powerful and like running into space. And Isaac is on some run of form. It's another tough one for City, and it comes with, we don't know what's going to happen in the first leg of that playoff, but City could be in a little bit of trouble after that first game, and they're having their eye on the second one, and then they play Newcastle. It's another intriguing one. Like, City have the most intriguing of them all here, I think, in terms of the fixtures.
Yeah, they do. Look, I think Newcastle can be a pig of a side to play against. We've seen it in every game that we've played against them with Eddie Howe. There's no easy games. They generally are well organised, and in Anthony Gordon, they have the pace to be able to break away from anyone. It's different now with Man City. They don't have Kyle Walker's pace to be able to stay with an Anthony Gordon to try to slow him up so others can get involved. It's going to be intriguing to see. I feel sorry for that kid that they signed. It's easy to sign an attacker and say, look, play on the wing, we'll get you the ball as much as we can and just go and do your thing. If you're signing a defender and you're throwing him in on the strength of 2 training sessions and say, okay, here you go. This is how we play football and this is how we defend. It's no surprise that he was badly exposed. It's a nightmare when you're signing defenders in January, especially when they're coming from outside the league. So it's going to be a massive test for them against Newcastle. Absolutely huge. And I think that's a 50-50. That'll be billed as Isaac versus Haaland. But both sides are a bit more than that. But I think Newcastle for goals are getting very, very dependent on Alexander Isak. But what I saw of Marmoush the other night, once he starts playing more regularly with this group of players and starts timing his runs, he looks more of a goal threat, way more of a goal threat than Savinho and Jeremy Doku. So he's got to be a threat for City for the second half of the season for sure.
Yeah, they play the second leg of their Champions League playoff. And again, we don't know what jeopardy's on that game going into it. But then they face Liverpool at home. And speaking from a City point of view, City will want to show that, they're not as bad as they weren't bad at Anfield. They were just well beaten at Anfield earlier in the season. They want to prove a point. They'll want to prove a point against what could be the champions-elect when that game comes around. And again, it's a huge game. But if Newcastle are suited to going and playing that City team, I think Liverpool are suited to playing them as well. They're so. You see, the thing for me with this City team is, your threats. Their threats. You know what Haaland can do. You know what Foden can do. De Bruyne. You name all these players. Even Marmoush coming in. Even the Savinho. Their threats. Grealish, Doku, whoever. We've dealt with all them before.
Yeah.
Where I think the advantage for Liverpool comes is, and listen, I don't think you ever walk into the Etihad confident to take, we're going in here and we're taking 3 points. I don't think you ever do that. But I think if I look at this Liverpool side, City aren't going to sit in and be a low block, which means they're going to leave space, and not even space in behind them. I think if they leave space in the middle of the park, I think they're in trouble, because that's where I think Liverpool look to ignite everything from. It's another huge game. It'll be a huge game for us. It could be a huge game for them if they're on a little bit of a roll. They could be tired after their European exploits. They could be further behind than they are now, and they kind of go, listen, what are we going to do here? But again, it's another massive game. But you can see the threats from both sides, but I can see the frailties more from them than I can from us.
I think the only fear I'd have going into that game is we have a week off.
Yeah.
We play Wolves at home on the 16th, and we don't play again until the 23rd against Man City.
Yeah.
This is why I look at the Eindhoven game and the League Cup semi-final for us. I think he'll try to keep as many players as possible ticking over. I think he likes the idea of. I think he likes a core group of players, even if they're getting 45 minutes, even if they're coming on for 30 minutes in games. It's so much different than training. That the energy you get from playing in a match type situation is completely different to what you get from a training session. And I think that's probably where he's reluctant with the likes of Chiesa to throw him in for more than half an hour, as opposed to, you've been training really, really well, but a match situation is different. So I think the fact that we have a week off and the build up for that's going to be massive. The build up for that game will be huge, and we'll be sat waiting and waiting and waiting for it to happen. All the while, Man City are playing important games away from home in Europe. It keeps them fresh and taking over. I think that's probably my one fear for that game. But I agree. It's like the midfield, no matter which 4 from 3 that he picks, or 3 from 4 that he picks in midfield, they're capable of giving anyone an absolute torrid night. And I don't think Man City's central midfield have the legs to be able to keep up with us for 90 plus minutes. So I think we'll get plenty of chances in that kind of game. In most games that we play now, we're getting plenty of chances.
Yeah.
And, with the amount of goals we've scored this season, we're doing pretty well.
The last game in the group, and the last game in this block is Spurs away. Now, Spurs have just lost at home to Leicester. I'm amazed the manager's still in the job, I'm going to be honest with you. But the people, like someone said to me last night, they're probably too miserable to sack him. They have to pay him a lot of money.
Humpy more like, yeah.
Now the only thing I would say is that comes right at the end. I think that might be the 26th of February when that's on. And that's a month away. So you might see players coming back for Spurs at that stage. I think Spurs are in real trouble. Even playing us next week in the League Cup, I think they're in real trouble with regards to players they have. And not only, you might get a couple of players back, but the players come back, but the players that are still remaining there are playing a lot of football, a lot of minutes. Do you know, sort of way. But it might get to the stage where Spurs are going, listen, we have got, I don't know the length of injuries with people, but they might have a Solanke back. They might have, I think Bentancur might be out. They might have a Bentancur. They might have one of their centre backs back.
I think the idea is, I think they're hoping to try to get 4 players back by the time they play the second leg against us.
Okay.
They're talking about Van de Ven, Romero might be available.
Yeah.
The full back, the left back, sorry.
Udogie.
No, the other guy. Oh God, I can't remember his name. The winger. They signed him as a winger from Middlesbrough, and he was ignored for ages.
Spence.
And that's it. Yeah. He might be back, and one other. So, they might be available. Who knows? But there's a difference between being back from injury and being match fit and match sharp.
Chris Brack says the talk is Van de Ven, Romero, Maddison, Basuma are all back for their game. Solanke and Udogie will still be out. Yeah, I've no problem with who Spurs have back for the game, to be fair. Because their style of play is just their style of play, and I think it allows us to get at them. It'll be Anfield, whatever else, but we'll get on to that in a bit. But Spurs may have so many players back by then. And City don't really like it at Spurs. They don't like Spurs full stop. They're hammered by Spurs earlier in the season. Like, they're put to the sword by them. In a game where Spurs just went, yeah, you have the ball, but and what we're going to do is when we win it, we're just going to hit you on the attack, on the counter. And they just done them 4 times and said, there you go, 4-0, good luck. So that's another one. That's another tough one where City, I think they might have won on the last 2 visits to Spurs. Maybe definitely won in the last 2. But other than that, they're poor away at Spurs. And it'll be a difficult game coming off the back of what they have. But having said that, City could be on a run where they've beaten Newcastle, they could have beaten Liverpool, and they're looking to beat Spurs, and they're on a bit of a roll here. But I'll let you factor all that in when it comes to your points at the end of the season.
Yeah.
We will win this league, and we will all be pissed in the summer. The rest is history. I'm certain of it, says Daz. I hope you're well, Daz. I haven't heard me in a while. I hope you're well, and I hope you're right, to be fair. Moving on to Arsenal, because that's our City one's done, right? So that would be four
Yeah,
league games for City. We'll give a points total at the end from both of us. So Arsenal are away to Girona in the Champions League, which
it's a
only
dead rubber.
really, yeah, it only really sees where they're seeded, I think, is it?
Yeah, yeah, that's
They're
it.
currently third in the league, I think, at the minute.
They
But
are.
they,
Yeah,
could they drop to fourth or fifth maybe if they
I
lost?
think
And
they could.
yeah,
They could, but they're guaranteed top eight. They're guaranteed to be in the
yeah.
seeded pots. They're
But
not going into the
it'll just
playoffs.
be where they are then.
Yeah,
Um, then they're home to City, and we've discussed this, so we won't gloss
yeah.
over it. But they're home to City, but just on it, where we've spoken about, how do Arsenal win it, how do City win it? How big is it for Arsenal?
For me, I think Arsenal, this could make or break their season. Um, if they go and play City and get turned over, they're looking behind them as well as trying to look up. They're really
Yeah,
looking behind them
yeah, they're looking at a
because
City team 3 points behind them.
yeah,
Yeah, I
it's
know.
bad enough this season with Arsenal with the drop off the City have had, the investment that he made in the summer because he did spend good money in the summer, and he hasn't kicked on with the squad. He won't be under pressure for his job, but the squad just hasn't evolved. They haven't evolved how they play. They've got very good at set pieces. Their set pieces
I
are
see.
second to none.
I think they have evolved, but I think they've evolved in the wrong direction.
In the wrong way. Yeah,
And
that's what I
maybe
mean. Yeah,
evolve isn't the right word, and if it's going in the wrong direction.
they've yeah.
But
I suppose they've evolved into a more defensive approach to play football.
I just think
At all
I
costs,
just think
don't
they're
lose
completely,
and try to win.
but I think they're completely at odds as to what that squad should be. Now I know people will say they've signed centre backs, they've signed left backs, they've signed. Fair enough. If you want to play a centre back at left back, it's still a fucking defender, right?
Yeah,
And in fairness, they play Timber a right back, and he's very decent going forward. They even play Partey there, and he gets up the pitch and he does his bit. Ben White, excellent going forward at times. But when I look at that team, I say to myself, let your fullbacks creep on a little bit because they're decent footballers. Let your man sit in midfield, and if it's Rice or whoever it might be, and then you let your Odegaard, let Marino sit there, let Rice and Odegaard, one is running power, one's intelligence, and you get your three up front, interchanging and stuff like that. Maybe they're missing a focal point, but it's like loads of people have said that they look like they're going in determined not to lose games rather than determined to win them. Do you know what I
yeah.
mean? But it is.
If it wasn't if it
Go on.
wasn't for Declan Rice this season, they they wouldn't be anywhere near where they are. I mean, Declan Rice this season, he's really impressed. I've been really impressed with his set piece delivery. I didn't think he had that in his locker for his corners, his free kicks, but his energy, his ability to get in the box, everything about him shows why they paid the money. I think they paid an awful lot for him, but he's a hell of a player. But they were screaming out for a striker in the summer for a good reason. You know, their fan base can be their online fan base can be as thick as pig shit sometimes, but they're not all wrong when they say that we need a striker. Gabriel Jesus ain't it, and they were right.
But
You know,
not only Gabriel Jesus is not it, right? I don't see what they're doing with Havertz that has way more. Even if it's a case of where he drops off and he gets involved and all right, I don't see the pros of that outweighing the pros of playing an out and out striker.
we were able to get away with it because with Firmino, you had a slight goal threat. His link up play was exquisite, but you had a goal threat from either wing. From Salah and Mane were a constant goal threat all the time. Arsenal don't have that. Saka is a goal threat, and everything goes down their right hand side. Saka, Odegaard try to link in to create overloads on the right hand side. Off the left, you'd almost say to them, if you're having the ball on the left, we can manage you there because yeah, Martinelli's decent, but we know what we're going to do with him. And Trossard, yeah, you can manage players like that. You know, they'll have exceptional games now and again, but they're not consistent in any way, shape, or form. And with Kai Havertz is not a 9, he's not a 10, he's an in between the two. And he doesn't carry this anywhere near the goal threat that Arsenal need to be able to compete to win silverware. He'll get you into contention. You can have a forward line like Arsenal do, and they'll get you into conversation. But when it comes to getting over the line, it's just not there.
Um, we'll see what we think of that City game anyway. We'll see when the points come out at the end. They go away to Newcastle in the League Cup, which I think is a huge game for them. They're out of the FA Cup. They're obviously still in the Champions League, but and I don't know where they are in the betting for the Champions League. I don't know if they have the goals in them to win the Champions League. So Newcastle comes across as a really big game for them. Now they're 2-0 down going into that. I don't even know if he gets away with rotating the squad and saying to supporters, listen, we've bigger games on the horizon, because he could be 9 or 10 points behind the league and they're going, what bigger fucking games?
Exactly.
You've one bigger game on the horizon. Surely you could have played this team. But that kind of factors into it. And in the last three, I'm going to kind of take them in a block. Leicester away, West Ham at home, Forest away. I think it's two straightforward games in that. I think the Forest one is a weird one.
I don't. I think Forest were exposed badly against Bournemouth. They were shown what happens to them when they go behind and they have to chase a game. Forest are really good at staying in the block, staying in shape, staying behind the ball, trying to get the ball out into the wings, up to Wood, get a lead and defend the lead at all costs. They're very good at doing that. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's what you're really good at. That's what you work to do. When you get an early goal against them and they have to come out and play, then you can get around them. And then the defenders have to play that bit higher and they leave space in behind. They don't track back as hard. And I think it's not the case they're sniffing themselves. I think they're looking at a case, look, we're third in the league, man. We've played 23 games. Aren't we fantastic? They'd have started the season, stay up at all costs, try to fight to get into mid-table and get safe by April if you can. That'd be a fantastic season. Where they are at the minute, they've massively overachieved. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I think that by the end of February, they'll be down in and around 7th or 8th. And, they'll be happy with their season. But I think they'll be a much softer side to play against by the time it comes to the end of the month.
I think it'll be interesting to watch Forest for the rest of the season, because even against, I think only ourselves, Arsenal and Forest have beaten Brentford away. Mm-hmm. And if you watch us against Brentford sat behind the ball and tried to hit us on the break and wherever else. Whereas Forest went there and went, we don't give a fuck if you don't want the ball. We definitely don't want it. We've called the force, we don't want it. And they go and beat Brentford away. They beat Spurs at home. Now, that's not saying much, but Spurs are a counter-attacking side, in my opinion, right?
Yeah.
But they go and they do that. It'll be interesting to watch Forest for the rest of the season. They feel a bit, to me, like, I know where you're coming from, in the sense of they'll drop off, and if they finished in top 6 or 7, they'd be fucking delighted. You know what I mean? Because they get a Europa League spot, I think, off that now at this stage. Yeah. But it'll be interesting to watch them when they play Arsenal. And they might have City at home come at some stage, Forest. What I'm talking about is the bigger games, especially at home.
They're the easy ones to get up for.
What way do you approach them and what sort of results they get? I don't know if they have to play at home to United, I'm not too sure. But that's a big game. Regardless of where United are, that's a big game. Do you know what I mean? Newcastle, I'm not too sure when they played Forest, but they might have a couple of big upcoming games. Hotlines is there. The upcoming run for Forest is tough. Brighton, Fulham, Newcastle, Arsenal and City in the next 5. They either cement their top 5 spot or drop out, in my opinion, says Hotline. And that's, I think, where Kev is going as well. But Arsenal have a kind of look to that after City. Now Liverpool. PSV during the week. It'll only decide if we finish 1st or 2nd in this Champions League group, which is fair. We play Tottenham in the League Cup during the week. Then we play Plymouth away in the Cup. Then we go to Everton. Then we host Wolves. Then we go to City. Then we go to Newcastle, or we host Newcastle. That'll bring us to the end of February, and that will leave everyone on 27 games for the season, 11 games to go, and 33 points to play for. Okay, I think the PSV one, Bournemouth is a massive game. We play PSV on Wednesday. We play Bournemouth at 3 o'clock on Saturday. If it's a huge game, does the Bournemouth game dictate what he does against PSV? Because part of me thinks it does, and part of me thinks no, he'll do what he fucking likes. He hasn't done. He's done exactly what he's like all season. You know, like he hasn't swept change. Like Klopp used to go, yeah, we're changing 8 players, and we're changing 8, and we're playing that, and we don't give a fuck what the competition is. We're playing it, changing 8, and we'll be back at the weekend for whoever. Slot's not like that. I think Slot is like, yeah, I might change 3 or 4, but I'm keeping the nucleus of this team. I think he'll do that against PSV. He doesn't like losing games of football.
No, he doesn't. I think it's a massive dilemma for him because it's his first time going back to Holland with Liverpool. Above all sides, he's going back to PSV Eindhoven. You know, massive rival. I think they'd done him for the title last season. I think he'd love to go there full strength and rip Eindhoven to shreds, and just give it to big and to the fans. But practically, I think at best what I'm hoping he does is all of the subs who you'd normally expect to see, I'd expect them to start. I'd expect a really strong bench, and I wouldn't mind seeing that used through the game. I wouldn't be surprised if you get a Cody Gakpo start, or be involved somehow, going back to his old club. I wouldn't be surprised if Virgil is involved in the game in some way, shape, or form. But Eindhoven needs something out of that game as well. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't be surprised. I don't think he'll go anywhere near full strength, but I wouldn't be surprised if he made 5 or 6 changes and then used the bench throughout the game. Mm-hmm. You know, the most important thing is to come out of that game is with no injuries.
Yeah,
come out of that with no injuries. The result will take care of itself because we're playing really well.
And to be fair, we should caveat with every game. Well, listen, please no injuries, and we'll take
please no injuries. Yeah,
I think the going into the Bournemouth game, we know how tough it's going to be. They've been brilliant. You know, people bang on about Arsenal make up their injury fucking dilemmas, and they genuinely do. I think we had as many injured as them at the start of the season when we played them. Spurs have had horrendous injuries, but not enough's been made of the Bournemouth ones. When you look at who's been on the bench for them and what they've had to put out, and it might come to catch them up in the end where there's just a lot of players playing a lot of football. But having said that, when you're playing a lot of football and you're winning games, it's enjoyable. You don't feel it in your legs as much. I think Bournemouth have been excellent, but I think what suits us going into this game with Bournemouth is, I think we've made the decision what we want to do during the week. We haven't been forced into anything with PSV. He's made that decision and he's going to plan. He's probably going to look at Bournemouth and plan backwards towards PSV, in fairness, right? But I think I'm not knocking Bournemouth at all. Like, genuinely, any result could come out on Saturday and I go, yeah, well, in fairness, they've been playing great, or, you know, in fairness, they were due to lose, or whatever it might be. Anything could come up. But their style of play suits us. I think their style of play, they like to come out and play. They like to get players on the ball. They like to get players up the pitch. It suits us. I just think it's going to be. I just really think it's going to be a cracking game. But I'd be more confident going to Bournemouth, and this might sound stupid, but I'm more confident going to Bournemouth than I was going to Brentford, because of the way Brentford play and the way they like to sit in and be physical and really fucking, you know, they're quite happy to go 95 minutes in the game where you just go, yeah, we're not interested. And if something happens, it happens. But it's going to be a belter.
I can't wait for this one. I've loved watching Bournemouth all season long. There's probably 3 or 4 players there that I really like the look of. Kerkez, everyone knows. Semenyo, I think, is a serious talent.
Yeah.
Huyson, the centre-back, he's going to have an awful lot of clubs chasing him in the summer. And in fairness, he's injured at the minute, is Evan Nielsen. I think Evan Nielsen is a big talent as well. 45 million they paid for him. You know, so they have injuries, but they found a way of playing and being effective. Yeah. And confidence in football is everything, and they're supremely confident at the minute. But I agree, it's like, I think the one thing you do with a side like Bournemouth is starve them of the ball. You know, you cannot make any mistakes with your passing, But if you starve them of the ball, draw them onto the press, play through the press, you'll open them up and you'll get chances. And I think it could be a really high scoring. It could be one of the games of the season. It genuinely could.
Yeah.
Because I love watching them play. They're one of the sides at the moment where if they're on the telly, I'd be like, yeah, I'll watch that. I don't care who they're playing because they're really enjoyable to watch. I think,
I think it's going to be really interesting to see what way Bournemouth approach it, because look, don't get me wrong, I think they go out against Newcastle, they get an early goal, they get pegged back, they get another one, make it 2-1, and it's a bit of a, again, I think Newcastle just took their foot off the pedal completely in that game, because there's so much hype around it about how many league wins he had in a row. It'd be interesting to see what way Bournemouth approach this. You know, do they actually come out and go, here, we're fucking flying here, let's go at Liverpool, let's see what we have? Or do they go, hold on, we do that, Liverpool are just going to stand solid as anything and they're going to pick us off and hurt us? Because if you remember the game at Anfield earlier in the season, Bournemouth were trying to press us and they were trying to do this, and Liverpool just went bang, 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 and they were out of the game. It'd be a really interesting way to see the approach, even in the form they're in.
Yeah, I think being at home is different. It's a smaller pitch, it's a tighter pitch, and they'll fancy themselves. I think their fans will want them to have a go. You know, they're sat in 7th at the minute, and they know that a win could push them into the top 4. Well, a win will push them into the top 4. It is for others then to hound them out of it. You know, but that's the kind of form they're in at the minute. They're on 40 points. They've only lost 5 games this season.
Yeah.
And they're in savage form. They haven't lost a game in the league since the 23rd of November.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't think anyone listening anyway is going to be under any illusions that it's not going to be a difficult game. No. It's going to be a really tough game.
Yeah.
But I think it's the right opponent for us at the right time. Because the day before Arsenal play, you know that the players are going to be right up for it because they know the consequences of a 3 points in that game and the pressure that it puts on a side trying to chase you.
And what did we see a couple of weeks ago? Arsenal are preparing for Villa at home, and Thomas Partey has come out and openly said, we are watching the Liverpool game. We're keeping an eye on it. And I went to the injury time. They went out to warm up, and it was 0-0. And when they came back in, it was 2-0. And there was gasps around the stadium and groans around the stadium, and that has to get into you at times. Oh fuck!
It does.
Hell, I thought I was going out here now to win a game and gather 2 points on these, and now, geez, we have to win, or we're losing ground. And it's like you love the saying, and loads do, the scoreboard pressure, and it is scoreboard pressure, because Liverpool will be sitting there going, hey, we're 9 clear now, and just let you know, if you slip up, if you draw or lose, we're going 11 or 12 clear to you. And games are running out here. You know what I mean? Tottenham and Plymouth, right? I'm not going to get into the games too much. One's a League Cup semi-final, second leg. One's an FA Cup 4th round game away. What day do we play Plymouth? Is it the Sunday? I'm nearly sure it's a Sunday, because I'm nearly sure Spurs are down for the Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday is Spurs. So, yeah, it's bound to be either the Sunday or maybe even the Monday.
No, because we play Spurs on the Thursday, we play Plymouth on the Sunday, and then we play Everton on the Wednesday.
Oh, okay.
And then we're back to the Sunday then for the
Wolves game.
Wolves.
Yeah.
These games, one is that semi-final. Liverpool were 1-0 down. They'd like to get that back. The Plymouth one lands nicely, doesn't it? Because you can play Bournemouth. You can have your 5 days off. Right?
Yeah.
You can do your thing against Spurs. You can change around against Plymouth, and you're still really fresh going into Everton and Wolves. And then I think you might have a week break then till
you have a week break.
It falls nicely, doesn't it? And this is where Slot will earn his corn mounted, because he'd be saying to himself, right, Bournemouth, Spurs, think about Plymouth, change around, straight back into Everton, straight back into Wolves, break for City, and then on to Newcastle, which I think is the midweek game after City.
Yeah, it's the midweek game after that.
City away. So, again, like we said with the PSV game, he's probably looking at Everton and planning backwards then. On to the Everton game. I said it last night, I'm sticking with it. I don't care who's in charge of Everton. I don't care if it goes into the last fucking Merseyside derby. I really don't give a bollocks. Everton are no good. They went out against Brighton the other day. I watched the highlights. And they had 3 shots in the whole game. 1 on target, which was the penalty. Okay, and other than that, they just sat in. And Brighton were quite poor in what Brighton were trying to do. I just want to go and beat Everton. We need to get away from this whole. We cannot buy into the romanticism of this bullshit that's going to happen in 2 weeks' time, Kev. We simply can't.
Yeah. No, you have to look at it for what they are. And they are where they are in the table consistently now for a few years for a very good reason. They don't carry much of a goal threat and they let in goals. You know, they'll be massively up for it. Of course they will. It's a Merseyside derby. But you have to treat them with the disdain that they deserve and just go and beat them and get the 3 points. But it's like anything now. I think we're really good front runners, you know, and the crowd will demand that we keep the intensity in games right the way through until a result is secure. I don't expect us to be dropping points away at Everton at all. But the Plymouth are after finding a bit of form, and ever since the Cup draw, to be honest, they've improved a bit since sacking Rooney. But again, you can make changes in that game and
They
get
may
through.
have found form, Kev. Were they not hopped off at the weekend, though?
I think they were. Last time I seen them at the weekend, I thought they were 2 up or something. But I don't know what they scored at the weekend. But
I have to check that because I remember looking at it going, fuck me, they're going to slaughter in here.
Championship.
Oh, what that many fucking things going on here? Yesterday. Saturday it was.
Yeah, they're still bottom of the champ.
Sorry, they drew 2 all the way at Sunderland.
Yeah.
But there was another. It was definitely a game. It was definitely a game where they got beaten. Or they were beaten 5-0 at home by Burnley. That was the one.
So Burnley are in 3rd and Sunderland are in 4th. They're down in 24th.
Yeah.
You know, they've won 4 games all season. They're in no real kind of form whatsoever. So you expect to be able to maintain, you know, you always want to play those kind of sides at home, but you're going away, you expect to be able to pick a side good enough to go and just wrap that up. And to be honest, if it was a 6th round, I'd be more about getting through the rounds. I think 4th round, you just put a side out to go and get through. You know, it's one of them. The focus, you're in a semi-final of a League Cup. You're only a goal down. You're playing at home. You want to have a right go at that. You know, because a trip to Wembley, get a cup in the bag would be a great thing for the squad. You know, especially for the League Cup, because I think the League Cup really is the squad game. You know, it's because the whole squad has a vested interest in winning that one. The FA Cup could be anything could happen. You never know who you're going to get drawn in the next round. So you just put out a side to go and win the game. You know, he'll pick an 11 and a squad to go and say, okay, this is good enough to go and beat Plymouth. You know, and if that means it's Tyler Morton, and I can see Tyler Morton involved in that. If I can't remember, does the window close?
Oh, I couldn't tell you, Kev.
I can't remember either.
The window's closed before we play.
The window's closed before we play Bournemouth. Yeah, so if he's still at the club, the likes of him will play.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Hotline says I'm playing the kids, and if we lose, we lose. 4 competitions is too much. One has to go. That's with regards to the Plymouth game. I'm kind of with him because I'm starting to become so fucking, you know, straight down the Premier League track here. That anything else that goes on beyond the Champions League, fair enough. But Liverpool are used to playing Champions League, League football, Champions League. They're good at that. But I do think, I suppose, the gap at the top will probably dictate the FA Cup. You know, if we're flying and we're fucking double figures ahead going into the 5th round of the FA Cup, you go, yeah, we'll play. You know, but I think depending on the draw as well, I suppose. But it's just, I just think he's going to use Plymouth as the one where I think he rests. Paul Dunning says, lads, I wish I had your confidence. We have to go to Chelsea, City, Villa and Fulham, Everton, play Arsenal and Tottenham, all hard games. All teams above can realistically on the day can be upsets. Yeah, but it will take all of them to cause an upset for us to be behind Arsenal, probably. You know, the sort of way. It's not an overconfidence. It's just on what you've seen so far and what you have at your disposal now as to who's going to win what game and what way it's going to go. Listen, Arsenal could beat City and go on a run. City could beat Arsenal and go on a run. Arsenal could lose against City and collapse. Liverpool could beat Bournemouth and they're out and away and over the hill. Liverpool could lose to Bournemouth, and you're going, fuck this Everton game now. You know, anything can happen.
Everything's
But
on that. Yeah.
what we're looking at, what we've seen so far, and from the teams we're coming up against, we're just trying our best to talk through them and see where the threats are. We've already said Bournemouth are a threat, massive threat. The Spurs and Plymouth thing kind of water off the duck's back because of their competitions that we're really not here to talk about. We're here to talk about the league, but I think the Plymouth one is the one where he says, yeah, that's our rest period. That's where we're going to fine tune things before we go to Everton. We've spoken about the City one away. We'll know at the end what we think of that. Wolves and Newcastle at home. Newcastle don't travel well to Anfield, never have. And I'm going to say I just think you beat Wolves at home.
I think Wolves are in trouble. I think Wolves are in trouble. Big trouble. They're sat in 16th in the relegation zone at the minute, and the problems that they had under Gary O'Neill are still there, but I think they're conceding more, and they're not as carrying as much of a goal threat as they were. I think he wants Wolves to build up play slowly through midfield, and it doesn't suit the players they have. I think Gary O'Neill was probably more direct, and it suited them a little bit more to be able to catch sides. I think there's a real chance they could go down. You know, Newcastle at home. Yeah, I just don't think we like them. I just don't think we like Newcastle at all, and I think we'll. Ever since I think Eddie Howe took over at Newcastle, I think there's certain players within our squad have a real chip on their shoulder about playing Newcastle. I honestly just think they carry an intense dislike for everything that is Newcastle, their squad. The fact that they think they should be entitled to something and they're not. They want things done the easy way. And I just think that they look at them and they think, yeah, you're not getting any change out of us. I've got us down beating them. In it. I don't think it'll be a big way, but I think we're by the end of this month, I don't think we'll be in cruise control, but I think we'll have the bit between our teeth and we'll be really gung-ho for it.
Yeah, Davey, the Newcastle fan says the last time we beat you at Anfield, the players wore tiny shorts. That was what was your man's name that played for Newcastle? The Brazilian fella.
Brazilian?
Yeah, nearly sure he was Brazilian. In like the mid '80s. Oh, his name. I remember watching a video of him playing because I think he plays the day. I think he actually plays on the day at St James's Park where Nickel scores a hat trick. I can't remember the fella's name. He was definitely Brazilian. Mirandinha, that's him. Mirandinha. Yeah.
Yeah, Davey. Davey. I spent tonight between 7 and 8 o'clock watching Shea Given crying and bitching and moaning about PSR. And Newcastle have wealthy owners and they should be entitled to do whatever they want. So, yeah, entitled. No offense, mate. I've seen you in the chat a few times. I think you're a decent skin. But I think there's a growing thing within certain section of the Newcastle fan base who think they're entitled to something.
Espria's name has popped up there. Espria is...
Nobby Solano is the one I used to love.
No, forget football for a minute. Just go and look up Tino Espria outside of the game of football. Absolute bananas that fella was.
Yeah.
Newcastle beat Liverpool at Anfield in the League Cup in the 1990s. David He says 2-1. John Henry, Mirandinha, Gillespie scored for you. So yeah, we're looking in the 80s. The thing with Newcastle for me is, especially at Anfield, I don't know if they back themselves enough, and I don't know if they back themselves more, if that's a good thing for them. I think Newcastle, they get a result against us earlier on the season. We're if Kelleher just catches that ball, we win the game. We're atrocious the first half. We're a much better team the second half. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
But Davey might tell you different. I thought in the first half Newcastle were just forced to every ball. They looked a threat. They're trying to get in behind us. We quants at right back. They identified that absolutely fine. Second half we come out and I think we're a much better side. We should win the game. Kelleher catches the ball. We do win the game. Shar gets lucky. The ball hits him and it goes in the net. But listen, you don't buy a ticket, you can't win the
You don't
fucking
win the
lotto
raffle.
and all that thing, right? But when I watch Newcastle or Anfield, I think they go into themselves a bit, and they end up having players isolated further up the pitch, and sometimes
Yeah.
that it works for them. They get a goal and stuff like that, but overall, you just can't withstand Liverpool. But against that, I think if Newcastle come out and went, right, we're going gung ho or Anfield against Liverpool, I think Liverpool will go, yeah, amazing, yeah, bring it
Yeah.
on. Because if you
See,
like, I've no problem. Liverpool have no problem with turning Joe Linton and turning Tonali and turning Guimaraes and putting pressure
yeah.
on him. But I
I
think at
think by
that,
then, though, I think the one thing I think by then Newcastle could be in a situation where they're really in the mix for top four.
yeah,
They might look at it and say, "Look, don't get beat here. Mind the goal difference. If we win, great, but don't lose."
yeah,
I think that would be the
that game
mindset coming out.
feels, it feels very what run are both teams on here. It feels like a momentum sort of game. I think if Liverpool, like, don't get me wrong, if Liverpool to beat Everton, Wolves, go away and win at City, they're going to bounce into that Wednesday night. You have to remember that'll be their 27th league game of the season, and they
Yeah,
could possibly go in there. And don't underestimate, as I wouldn't underestimate St James's Park when it gets up. Don't underestimate Anfield on a Wednesday night.
yeah. When you're down to single digits in games,
You're
people
literally
will.
after that game, you'll have 11 games left.
Yeah,
You know, so yeah, it's
countdown will be well and truly on by then.
as of now, it's a really tough game because I think Gordon is playing excellent. I think Isaac is just out of his world at the minute.
Yeah, he is.
Jacob Murphy's been, is it Jacob Murphy? Doing Jamal
Yeah.
Murphy anyway. He's doing an excellent job. Guimaraes and Joe Linton will always do a job for you. Lewis Hall has been very impressive at left back for them. They just
I think they'll
they've
do it.
been,
I think they might do something in the window. I
do you
think the
think so?
fact they've got Almer. I think the fact they've got Almiron off the books.
They might do.
Uh,
A
they
wide
might. I
man is
think.
probably a wide right man is probably the look, is it? Yeah.
I think they'll look to do something this window.
But Glenn Boylan says, honestly, lads, I think Liverpool have had their blip. I can see us blowing teams away now. Davey T is just responding with regards to Tyndall. He says, to be honest, he's a bit of a joke figure. Not sure what he does, but Eddie likes him. Yeah, fucking that Tyndall fella's a fucking gobshite. But listen, I'm sure the people look at Liverpool and go, that fella at Liverpool's a gobshite. It's just Tyndall. The way he walks around the technical areas, if he owns Newcastle United, is bananas. But anyway, we're at the end, Kev.
Yeah.
So I don't know what people's predictions are. If you want to try your predictions for points, Liverpool currently sit on 53. So let us know what you think they'll have after. That's after 22 games. They have 5 games in this run. And Arsenal sit on 47. They have 4 games in this run. City sit on 41. They have 4 games in this run. So, Kev, Manchester City, after 27 games, how many games? So they 41 now. How many points do you think they'll have?
7.
So 48 for Kev, for Man
Yeah.
City. You think that's 2 wins, a draw and a loss?
Yeah.
Okay, no problem. Arsenal currently sit on 47. Many points out of 4?
12.
12.
Yeah.
Okay. That'll put them on 59 points.
Yeah.
Liverpool currently sit on 53. How many points did he get now out of 5?
13.
13. Which would leave them on 66.
66.
Okay. So you think at the end of this, Liverpool are with 11 games to go will have a 7-point lead?
Yeah.
Okay. Liverpool taking 13 out of 15. Arsenal taking 12 out of 12. You think they're beating City at the weekend then?
I think that'd be City the weekend, yeah.
And City will lose to Arsenal.
I think they'll lose to Arsenal, and I think we get a draw against City.
Okay, cool. Chris has 13 from 15 for Liverpool. Arsenal 9 out of 12. City 7 out of 12. Scouser P has City gets 8. Arsenal gets 10. Liverpool get 13. Jim Bowles says Man City get 8. Arsenal get 10. Liverpool get 11. Oh, 2 draws in there. Okay. Let me see. Garmax said I'd be happy with 13. Win 4 and draw with City. We do that and we're winning the league. I have Liverpool getting 13. That brings them to 67. I have Arsenal getting 8. Which leaves them on 55. And I've City getting 8, which leaves them on 49.
I think that's why I said, that's why I think this weekend Arsenal Man City is massive.
What do you want out of that game? Well, I know what you think will
What
happen. What do you want?
I want, I wouldn't care. I wouldn't mind City beating them. I
Either
wouldn't
way.
mind City getting a draw off them. I don't want to see Arsenal win that because I think that'll give them confidence to go and knock the others off.
Yeah.
I think the fact that they don't have a playoff to play in Europe is a bonus. I think they might focus heavily on the away trip to Newcastle, but if Newcastle get a third in that game, they'll make rapid changes in that game. But I think by the end of the month, they could be looking at potentially getting Saka in and around it again. I just think Arsenal don't concede many, and any side who doesn't concede many are
Always have a
always likely
chance.
to always have a chance to pick it up. And look, 3 of those 4 games you expect them to win. It's the Man City game. The Man
Yeah.
City game's a 50-50.
Yeah. I think my big thing on this is when it comes down to that game at the weekend, if City have any little inkling of, you know what, we might still have a chance here, right? Because let's be honest, if City are playing Arsenal, right, and Arsenal feel like they can get at Liverpool, City will feel, well, we beat Arsenal only 3 points behind them, and if they can get at Liverpool, maybe we can.
Yeah.
A draw at the weekend would reduce City's maximum to 84. It would reduce Arsenal's maximum to 90. And if we win at the weekend and win our game against Everton, it would leave us on a maximum of 101. So, it'd be 11 points.
I mean, look, it's ours to lose. At the moment, it's ours to throw away. But it's every performance you look at, bar the Manchester United one, we've been in every single game, even the draws. The draws this season, I don't think there's a game you can turn around really and say, unless I think there was one the Fulham one, where you think, yeah, okay, I'll accept the point. But even in that, we did enough to win every game that we've been in this season. You know, the United one aside, every other game that we've played this season, we've been in every single one of them. That's what convinces me that I just don't see us dropping 4 losses, and I don't see Arsenal maintaining a run good enough to be able to keep it up, because eventually they'll just drop one in. They're averaging 2 points a game. You know, for a reason they've picked up 8 draws this season. You know, that's too many. It's just too many.
I think, look, I've made a very bold prediction there. I'm not going to lie, right? But I think the Bournemouth one is where it sets it up. I'm actually convinced, and I said it last night, so I'm not speaking out of skill or changing my mind or anything like that. I genuinely believe we win our next 2 league games. No one going near us. There's no way. There's just not a hope, because at the end of the day, if we, I'm looking at that there. If we could end up possibly 11, 12 points clear of Arsenal with 33 to play for. Even if Arsenal were perfect for the rest of the season, yeah, they still have to come in. Like if you tell us there's 11 to go, we're 12 clear, right? And you beat Arsenal.
Yeah. It's there's no coming back from that.
Yeah, there's no.
This is why I think Man City will look at Arsenal and say, "You're there to be got at." You know, if City win at the weekend, they'll really fancy finishing above Arsenal, and that does damage to Arsenal. Not just this season, that does damage to Arsenal for the next year, 2 years, maybe for however long that squad is together. That scars you.
But having said that, the other way around, Kev, like if we go and get beaten at Bournemouth and Arsenal win, you know, there's 3 points in and we have a game in hand, and that game in hand is away to Everton. You could realistically go to Everton and not win. The next thing, it's 4 points and everyone's played the same amount of games. So it can go either way. I just think the run people are on at the moment, that's where I feel it is at the minute. Don't get me wrong, Kev. We could be talking absolute fucking nonsense here, which the chances are high. The chances are high. Let's be fair. We don't, you know. But
I definitely wouldn't be taking this advice and these predictions anywhere near a betting, anywhere near a bookies.
No.
Anyone.
No, even if I knew, if I knew anyone called Paddy or anyone with the surname Power, I still wouldn't go near either of them with this information. But it's probably one of those. It's probably one of those where we get to the end of February and we go, right, this is where we are now. Fuck, we're 4 points clear. Or, lads, we're fucking 13 points clear. And we look at our next 5 and we're probably counting down to winning it or looking, where are we going to get these wins and stuff like that. It's but like I keep going back to something somebody said in the chat, and I can't remember who it was, and he said, this is just a normal league title race. That's what it is. We'll drop points, they'll drop points. But at the moment, we're in a position where we can. They're not in a position where they can at all.
I don't. I think this is a normal title race for everyone, but we're not showing normal title form. We're played 22, won 16, drawn 5, lost 1. That's the kind of form we showed when Man City were in and around us. Everyone
I know
else
that, Kev,
is
but
showing
I think,
type of form that's there.
Yeah, I think maybe we're the outlier in all this, but we definitely be the outlier if you said to me, we've played 22, we've won 18. You know, we've drawn 3 and lost 1. I'd say, yeah. You know what I mean? Then you're kind of going, right, we're actually making it not a normal title race. But it is a normal title race.
No,
it's just when you look at Liverpool and City in particular, and those races we had over whatever amount of year period, the quality was off the wall. But anyway, I've enjoyed that.
Yeah, it was a good ramble.
Both of us have us ahead. You have us 7 points clear.
Yeah.
I have us 12 points clear, Kev. I'm not acting the MAGA here.
Look, if it's somewhere in and around the middle, I'll be happy enough.
Listen, come here. If you told me we get to that Newcastle game, and after we play Newcastle, and after City play Spurs, and after Arsenal play Forest, and we're in the exact same position as we are now, 9 points, I'll take it all fucking day. All day. You know what I mean? My big thing on here is, don't reduce your amount. And if you get a chance to up it, make sure you put your foot on their throat and go, no,
exactly,
that's you done. So yeah, I've enjoyed it. It's probably nonsense, but thanks for watching anyway. And we'll be back tomorrow. I'll be back tomorrow evening. I'll be back at 9 with a member show. It's going to be a 30 where we talk absolute nonsense again, but it'll be all non-football. It'll be all about today's discussion in the Telegram group was Valentine's Day. And,
I was wondering why that question came up.
Well, I have to say, I have to give a shout out to Sarah in the Telegram group. Started the show with some of the stuff about Valentine's Day, but I might get onto that tomorrow night. But as I said, if you're a member, when you're coming to these 30 shows, bring the most random stuff, just questions. Do you know what to do? I always keep saying to people, if a question pops into your head during the day, or you see someone go, what's that about? Put it in your phone or write it down and go, I'll ask Gav that later. I will have somebody on me tomorrow night to do the 30 from 9 till about 10 to 10, and then we will have the PSV preview as well tomorrow night, and then we'll be into Wednesday and all that stuff. That's it. Kev, anything else before we go?
No, all good. I can't wait for the Bournemouth game. I really can't wait for the Bournemouth game. Plus the bank holiday weekend.
Yeah, it's all going on. That's because we were the best boys during COVID, isn't it?
Yeah, we're best boys. Good old Bridget.
We're the best boys during
everyone will be making their crosses.
We get an extra bank holiday for being the best boys during COVID. Staying in, going out, not going 2 kilometres from your house, talking to your mate through an open window, all that sort of mess. But there we go. That's been it. Thanks a million for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, leave a comment afterwards if you want. Become a member if you want. Have a go. $3.99. Do it for 1 month. If it's for you, it is. If it's not, it's not. We're not going to fucking fall out with you about it. Talk to you in a bit. Oh, jeez, I nearly died there. Talk to you in a bit. Over now.